rappers ain't supposed to be talking about that right now because we supposed to talk about bullshit that's going to keep you off balance. And what I'm trying to tell you is there are things out here right now that can put you back on balance, because that restored a whole different side to me where it was like, man, I know this is real. I know there's something more to it.
Yeah.
And there it is. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, we need that more than we need to be out here fighting against something that wants us to fight it. Because when we losing good people to bullshit, we losing good people to prison, we losing good people to, nonsense gunfire, we losing good people to gang violence, we losing minds to drugs, we're losing beautiful women to selling their bodies for money, prostituting and stripping and all kinds of other shit, falling victim to diseases, and then ain't nobody here to raise our kids.
Right.
So now they out here on the street by themselves. It's like we losing out, man. And it's because it's a lack of understanding, like Hosea say. And I'm not trying to sit up here preaching. This is what's coming out of this is what's happening. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, like...
well, let's do this. Let's reset, because we're gonna jump right in. But I gotta let everybody know where we at and who's just spilling this knowledge. So once again, y'all, it's your boy DJ Cliff, and we're right in the midst of another episode of DJ Cliff Presents, and truly appreciate everybody tuning into the podcast. This podcast is really about connecting with people who are making a difference. And so this cat is a dude who I have been like, this is a long time coming.
Yeah, man.
This is a dude who I've sort of paid attention to, and we've connected. Shout out to social media, I guess.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Shout out to the internet.
That's how we connected. But this is a young man who's been doing some things for a while, and you get a sense already of some of what we're gonna get into today. But let everybody know who you are, bro.
My name is Rasheed Jamal. I'm a recording artist and entrepreneur from Hot Springs, Arkansas. I moved to Portland, Oregon in April of 2008. And I've been very fortunate to be put into positions to sit across the table from people like you. You know what I'm saying?
Come on now.
And just, talk about some good things, man. I started a production company last year called Fresh Tribe Republic, just so that I can kind of be able to move in different ways and do stuff that made sense. Fresh Tribe is an acronym. It stands for Future Representatives of a Successful Heritage of Talent, Renaissance, and Brilliance.
Okay.
And Republic, a republic, that's just an independent, not even independent, that's a sovereign state.
Okay.
That lives by its own rules. And, it also does for itself, and it does for its own.
Yeah.
So the Fresh Tribe Republic, man, to me, it indicated the independence that my life has kind of come to represent, just kind of leaving home, turning 21 and then leaving and moving to the completely different side of the country, completely different place, completely different culture.
Yeah.
And at the same time, growing and having people growing as an artist, and then, you have different people who come along and they want to offer you things in exchange for something you toiled for.
Yeah.
$10,000 for this, different things like that, where it's like you don't completely have the understanding of what all that's going to entail, from you taking this loan, and then you got to pay that back. And they don't even have a plan in mind. They just have whatever manipulation they have in mind for you.
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of young artists end up getting, just kind of messed up in the game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do my best to watch my language. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of artists, they get messed up in the game that way. And I didn't want to be one of those, man. I always value what I had to say so much, because it's at one point in time, it's all I had.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My balls and my word.
Yeah.
So it was like, for a long time, it was like, this or that. Am I going to do this, or am I going to just stick it out?
Yeah.
And I chose to stick it out. And through sticking it out, I think I gained a lot of respect. I went the long way about, promoting and doing stuff. Kind of the 90s way of doing things, like actually meeting people, actually sitting down with folks, shaking their hands, hanging out with them, having a couple drinks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And, it wasn't all partying, but actually making meaningful connections with people has meant more, in some cases. And in other cases, it was a waste of time. But I think that's like, it's a lot doper than just being an entertainer and a stranger and just being somebody that's kind of like way deep. That's like, you see me all over the place on the internet, or you see me, my face on flyers all over the place. But then if you sat down to talk to me, there's no substance.
Right.
And there's a lot of cats like that. And like, I feel like it's a lot of cats that's on TV that's like that.
Yeah.
Where like, you sit down and you talk to them and they ain't got shit to say.
Yeah.
About nothing.
Yeah.
Like, you can't ask them nothing about nothing. Like, you can't even have to ask how their day was today, and they got anything resourceful to tell you.
Right.
So it's like, the value system of like who we put on pedestals, man, they got to be based on more than what they got on. And they got to be based on more than, you know what I'm saying, them having a song with a hot hook for right now. Like, I don't know, man. I'm not going to put nobody's name out there because I'm just not that kind of dude. But like, our value system culturally as hip hop, we can't just keep complaining about, rap being this or rap being that. Because like me, I grew up on Hot Boys, Swisher House, Scarface, T.I., Tupac. So like, I love street shit, period. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Debate, especially based on where I come from, you know what I'm saying? Like, I even like a lot of street records that come out right now that people would deem as ignorant. Mm-hmm. But it's like, there's a time and a place for everything. You know what I'm saying? I like gospel music too. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I like jazz too.
Yeah.
I like rock and roll too.
Yeah.
And it's like, I like what Scarface say when it's like, why don't we have any black rock and roll groups? We can sit up here all day long and complain that, they stole rock and roll from us, but ain't nobody doing rock and roll.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Why aren't there like any strong like Coltrane's right now?
Yeah.
Why ain't nobody stepping out there and being Coltrane right now? Why ain't nobody stepping out there and being Miles? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, because of the demographic and because of the marketing, like, who am I going to sell to? You know what I'm saying? Who's going to show up to my shows? But
I think that, I think you can make the argument that's kind of been a part of the problem is we've been told now for a while that it's not about the art, it's about making money, it's about getting on.
Right.
And I think when a lot of the older artists that you mentioned, I mean, yes, they were doing that to make a living, but it was from what history tells us, it was more about the art. Mm-hmm. It was about being an artist. It was about being creative. It was about being innovative. It was about doing something that nobody else was doing.
Right.
And I kind of interpret what you were saying about being able to sit down and have a conversation with someone. It is hard sometimes for me, and I'm an old head, and so I came up in a different generation when you talk about hip hop. But sometimes it's hard for me to listen to the next hot artist, and you listen to their music and you think, well, you didn't say anything. Like, that song was 3 minutes and 45 seconds long, and you didn't say anything during that. I mean, and like you said, there's a time and a place for everything. And I love beats and I love production.
Right.
But you got to say something. I mean, you got this platform now. You have the ear of millions of people, especially in the age we're living in right now.
Right.
Just say something. And so I think, figuring out a way to create that balance, which is what I think is missing right now when it comes to hip hop, is there is no balance. In the golden era, there was balance. I mean, you had Native Tongue, but then you also had, you had artists from the West Coast. You had NWA, and you had the street, but then you also had the conscious, and then you also had the party. There was a balance, and now there just doesn't seem to be that as much as there used to be.
I think, and like, I don't like using like buzzwords, because like they start to lose meaning because people lose them. I mean, because people use them so much. But like words like love and words like hip hop and words like but like corporate interests and money. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want to get out the hood at the end of the day. Like, Gucci Mane is making the records that he makes whenever he's out of jail because he want to stay out the hood. You know what I'm saying? Like, we look at them as if they have all this money. Like, dope money is not good money. You know, and like, I think like kids need to hear that more often. Like, even some grown folks, because like, you know, we grew up with Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying? We grew up with cats that, you know, but the way that they expressed it was like, you know, there's nothing else I can really do from where I'm at but sell this dope. So since they gonna put it in my community, I'm gonna move this shit and I'm gonna do something better with myself. You know, I don't think it was until like probably in the 2000s, probably 2003, 2004 era, white tee era, where it became just like cool to be a dope dealer. And it was like, that was like, you know, you graduate to be a dope dealer and shit. So it's like, that's not a good lifestyle. I don't know nobody that sell dope that just want to sell dope. You know what I'm saying? I got partners that's locked up right now. Like, they don't want to fucking be locked up. Nobody wants to go through that. So it's like, but it's put out there as an alternative lifestyle. Like, it's like that lifestyle is something to be pumped. And from there, you become a rock star.
Well, it's interesting because I was talking to someone years ago. I want to say it was Luckwan, or Hanif. I don't remember if it was. But at any rate, just talking about that, you know, the idea of being a dope dealer as a career is pretty short-sighted. Because one, your life is always in danger. Mm-hmm. Two, your product is always in danger. So it's not really something to
and it has an expiration date.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can't hold on to it. It's not like having a retail store, which more of us should have retail stores.
Yeah.
And we should have real estate.
Yeah.
And we should like not like flip houses. I mean, like actually buy real estate and things like that. But it takes time to get to that point. And it's like the get rich quick, the quick jumping from here to there, scheming kind of mindset.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to think about what we have to gain when we put our lives on the line, because we praise martyrdom. And like, that's not a knock on religion. That's human. Like, let's think about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, cultures have ways of like, history repeats itself and you don't remember this stuff. So it's like, human sacrifice used to be a normal thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they used to sacrifice babies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was a really big part of like what, you know, Christ represented. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It was the end of human, like, that was kind of the end of an era of human sacrifice. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's all throughout every culture and religion. You know, like they definitely aggrandized it with the Mayan prophecies and things like that, and then movies like Apocalypto, where it's interesting. All Mel Gibson movies involve human sacrifice as well. I just thought about that just now. His biggest movies all involve human sacrifice.
There you go. Yeah.
But like, it's a culture of martyrdom where it's like everybody gonna respect the shooter, but the one in front of the gun lives forever, like Kendrick say.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's something to really think about. Like, you know, the rapper everybody loves most, not everybody, but that most people consider to be the greatest, and the two greatest was Biggie and Pac.
Yeah.
They're martyrs.
Yeah.
And like, I don't mean martyrs in the sense of like they died for a cause. They died over some bullshit.
Yeah.
They died for greed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, if you really looked at those two brothers, like, they both were suicidal, and they both probably dealt with very severe depression. Because I know when I was doing my most drinking and smoking and all that, I was depressed. And I know that I deal with these different cycles that end up in creativity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And most artists are kind of crazy. Look at Van Gogh. Look at Picasso. Look at Beethoven. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think that there's I mean, not to try to play psychologist or psychiatrist, do you think a part of that is people looking for something, and there's easy access to some of these you know, habits or things that we sort of default to?
And, you know, I think every once in a while, everybody wants to escape. Mm-hmm. And what we have is a culture of escapism right now.
Yeah.
Because nobody talks about the day-to-day throughout the week. And nobody talks about the what it actually means to be in love with a woman, or what it means to be a man and have a protective role over that woman or the family, mm-hmm. or those type of things like that. Mm-hmm. It's all I got the money now, and now I'm at the club blowing it. Or I got the money now, so I'm in this private jet on the way somewhere else. Or I got the money now, and I'm out the hood. Or I got the money now, and I got the weed, and I got the drugs, and I got the drink.
Yeah.
So I'm getting ready to just blow my mind out and wake up in the morning and do it again.
Right.
That's all escaping reality.
Yeah.
That's and like people who live vicariously through that, they're actually trying to escape whatever they're dealing with as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Which is deep. I wanna give people an opportunity to sort of know where our connect happens, because it was one of the things that sort of piqued my interest. A couple of things piqued my interest into you as an artist and then as an individual.
Okay.
So, I think the first time that the first time I remember hearing of you as an artist was through your project, My Beautiful Ugly.
Okay.
I think that was the first time I may have heard you doing guest verses on some other folk stuff, and then of course, as I continued to get to know who you were, and then also the crew, the Resistance, with Mike Capes and Glenn Waco. Mm-hmm. But there's two things
Shouts out.
Yeah, absolutely, the neighborhood residents right there. Two things drew me to you as an artist. One was content, for sure. I mean, and it's very evident in when you present yourself as an artist that there's a lot of depth there.
Thanks,
in the music that you put out there, and I think that as we continue to communicate, people can see where that comes from.
Right.
The second thing that drew me to you as an artist was your voice as an artist, and I wonder, from an artistic standpoint, is that something that you aspire to create? And when I say voice, I mean it sort of dual term. One, just audibly what you hear when you're on record, and then two, the way that you present yourself when you're on record, because it feels very much like you have found your voice. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So, is that something that you worked towards to find your voice when you get on record?
Yeah, I used to hate my voice when I was a kid. Like, I used to hate my voice.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny too, because like I still don't like it sometimes. Like, whenever I leave the studio, I don't like the song until like a week or two later.
Yeah.
And like, that's always been a very interesting thing about myself, because I started doing music when I was 15. Well, actually, I started writing like raps and stuff when I was like 8. I put out my first mixtape when I was 14, 15, 9th grade.
Okay.
And then I kept recording music. Just I'd be in somebody's house having their mama and everybody up. Shout out to Ja'Cory. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Have his mama and brother up, you know what I'm saying, rapping all loud, and then, burn a CD and leave.
Yeah.
And rocking with my guys at No Turning Back, NTB, back at home. I recorded my first album. It was called Underground Celebrity.
Okay.
And like, I didn't realize at the time that it wasn't normal for cats to be making albums. But to me, like, all I did was sit in the house, you know what I'm saying, throughout my childhood, and like go outside and play basketball or kick it or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, most of my days, I would just spend at home listening to West Side Connection or Hot Boys or something like that. And I just play songs on repeat all day long. And I know every last word and syllable and ad lib and everything. And, I think that also came from watching my mother and grandfather and grandmother in choir rehearsal.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Watching them put together songs and the chorus effects and, understanding those different things. And I was in chorus in school and stuff. So, like, the big picture looks like, oh man, he was gonna do music, period.
Yeah.
But like at the time, I'm just going through life.
Yeah. That was just living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, so I come out with Underground Celebrity. I sold it in school. You know what I'm saying? I made like $700, man. It was pretty cool for a kid, you know.
Yeah.
And just throughout the rest of high school, like I made other mixtapes, but I didn't promote them. I just kind of kept them to myself. And like everybody knew I did music, and like whenever they came around me, they knew they was gonna listen to me rapping.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when I went to college, I kind of slowed up on it, just because people didn't have the same reaction towards it,
Right.
and people were more into the party. And a lot of my roommates and shit from college, they was from Memphis, so like they was into that just like a different type of sound.
Yeah.
You know, because I grew up on 3 6 Mafia, but it wasn't really 3 6 Mafia they was listening to. There was more into like early Yo Gotti,
Yeah.
things like that, drug raps.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And,
Yeah.
you know, I just wasn't into. You know, I've been around plenty of guys doing their thing, but like that just was never the life for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, my dad passed away, and I moved up here about a year after that, and I'd actually quit rapping, man. Like I was just really depressed. I was like, fuck it, man. I don't care about rapping, man, because I was getting into so much shit over rap when that year when I was 19. Like, you know, like I came close to probably throwing it all away, man.
Yeah.
Just living really reckless, man. I was pretty reckless little dude at the time. You couldn't look at me now and tell that, but like, you know, my people back at home, if they saw me now and they saw me then, like, now you morphed, you transformed to something whole different. You got hair and everything now. Yeah. And like, I was out here for about a year or so. Got a job, had a pretty decent little income. It really wasn't that decent, but to me at the time it was. Yeah. And I bought a computer and I bought equipment, and I just started recording again. And in the sense of finding my voice, since 2009, up until it was actually 2012. So in that 3-year period, because I haven't recorded anything else on there since 2000 on that computer since 2012. Yeah. In that period, man, I recorded about 400 songs. Wow. You know what I'm saying? Trying to find my joint. Yeah. When I actually really found myself is when I started performing. Okay. And I started to see the reaction. I actually got to actually act out instead of performing for a microphone. Yeah. That really kind of changed everything, because during that time period when I couldn't record, I would just write songs and I'd go perform them. Yeah. Like, ain't nobody ever heard it, but you know what I'm saying? I'm going to hit every last part of it. Right. So it's like, that gave me a lot of confidence, and it gave me a lot more character, put it like that. Like, I was a hype man for Cloudy October. Okay. And like, you know, he's being theater, you know what I'm saying? So he's very theatrical in the way he does certain things, and like that's like my best friends. Like, we laugh and we play a lot. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Even on stage, we play too goddamn much on stage. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, we just really have a lot of fun. So like, he kind of helped me chip away at some of those worn out theories that I had of like the way a rapper's supposed to be, and like walking around looking like you bad and trying to be a lion on stage. And I like kind of loosened up and, you know, kind of became more than that. You know, I can be a lion at a certain point, and then, you know, I can be a tiger at another point. Or, you know, I can be a joker up here. Like you said, I can be Richard Pryor right now if I want to be. You know what I'm saying? And like, for y'all who have not seen Rasheed on stage, he's not joking. He you can tell that when you are on stage, you are enjoying being on stage. Yeah, it's fun. You know what I mean? It's fun. So which is really dope. Going to my partner's house, like my partner Trig, his house, at his dad's house, at his pop's house. Like they was always playing Frankie Beverly or something like that. Like they play cookout music on a regular day. No doubt. You know what I'm saying? And they was always playing something that's jamming. Yeah. And Trig that was my rapping partner back in the day. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So like, and he loved DJ Quick. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So like, he kind of looked like them and shit. You know what I'm saying? So like, shouts out, bro. But like, it was just always good music all over the place, you know? And like, the more I grew as an artist, like the more I've been trying to like, show those influences and not hide them. You know, like, I spend a lot of time shouting out rappers that influence me. And then at the same time, like, I'll actually directly borrow lines from them, you know what I'm saying? Just to keep them alive. Yeah, that's dope. Because like, I think it's coming back down to that mindset shift, you know what I'm saying? That, you know, I don't even know if we was recording before I got into the whole bit about when rocks cry out or whatever, but, you know, we still have that mindset that after a certain age, a black man is not valuable anymore. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna say that again. We have a mindset where after a certain point in a certain age in a black man's life, he's not valuable anymore. As if once his youth is gone, there's nothing else that he can contribute. And that's a really big downfall that we have right now. You know what I'm saying? Because there are plenty of guys who have very valuable things, very valuable experiences to pass on. But we still have to be this youthful, young, whatever, in order to get our points heard or to get our point across. So it's like when Jay-Z 50 years old, everybody gonna be acting like, man, ain't nobody trying to hear this nigga, man. Now, even though he's been one of the major influences in hip hop culture over the past 20 to 25 years.
Do you think that that's that sense is primarily related to the music industry or more specifically the hip hop industry, or do you think that's more of a cultural thing that has happened in terms of the devaluing
I think it's American culture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's American culture, you know, and you can put the cut on it if you want to. You know what I'm saying? Because after a certain point, if you couldn't, you know, you got chicks pregnant for a certain amount of time if you was a slave boy. And once you did all that, you know what I'm saying, you went back to being in the fields. And once you got old to a certain age, you know, they was done with you.
Yeah.
You know, you get shipped off somewhere else, or, you know, maybe you try to run away, or maybe, you know, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe you got treated like a sex toy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's real.
Yeah.
But, you know, we like to think that, like, you know, we still don't have that. But we do. And it's still there, regardless of what you think, bruh. I don't care what you're driving right now. Like, if you get pulled over, you're at the mercy of whoever has the badge.
Yeah.
And that's real.
Yeah.
Like, we can't get away from that. So it's like, I can't sit up here. I'm not going to blame the music industry for what we're allowing them to do. Like, nobody's putting a gun to your head to do that. So what? They're going to go find somebody else. Eventually, they won't be able to find nobody else.
Right.
Or what they're going to do is what they're doing, and they're going to replace it with white faces.
That's deep. That's deep.
I should have said that.
No, that's
Fuck
deep.
it.
That's deep.
But it's real. You know what I'm saying? I want to be independent, man. I ain't tripping.
Yeah.
Somebody out there going to feel me, and they still going to buy my record.
Yeah.
But, like, let's just call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, Macklemore, he seems like a really good guy. But come on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Come on. Like, he seems like a very genuinely good guy.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm not just going at his neck because of what he looks like or what, none of that stuff. But it's like, come on.
Yeah.
Iggy Azalea winning that American Music Award. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Justin Bieber acting the way he's acting right now. Come on.
Yeah.
And, like, this is popular culture. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that doesn't, just because you dress a certain type of way, or you rap a certain type of way, or you do this a certain type of way, it doesn't mean you can represent my constituency from Arkansas.
Right.
Or even my constituency here in Portland. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like we're doing the same genre, but we're not doing the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, let's make that distinction. Let's not make the distinction about race. Let's not make the distinction about some type of equality, and let's not make the distinction about, oh, they're just getting this because they white and they this and that. No. There's agendas that are being pushed here that have nothing to do with those people.
Right.
Those people are just like us, where, like, they don't want to fucking go back to what the life they was living before.
Yeah.
So they're doing what they need to do in order to stay in line with that.
Yeah.
And I think that I could respect Macklemore in the sense of that he doesn't seem like somebody that's just selling himself short. Like, he seems like somebody that's just really handling this business, and he's actually being humble about it, and he's not like being Vanilla Ice about the shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, much respect to the dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Iggy Azalea, she's a pretty girl and all this. But at the same time, you know what I'm saying, she's an Aussie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She has a very pretty voice as an Aussie.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, she comes off in her raps with something completely different. You know what I'm saying? Much like Drake.
Yeah. He's
He's a very well-spoken young man from Toronto, up in the hills.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With a very nice young Jewish mother who taught him how to speak very well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And just because you got cousins from Memphis, don't mean you can just change your whole style up.
Right.
And then start acting like some shit that you ain't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, like, if you do it long enough in the mainstream media with enough money behind you, motherfuckers start believing it.
Well, I mean, and I think that is, you know, when you look historically at the change in this genre of music, you know, that we call hip hop, I think that's what you've seen. I used to say it all the time, man. I used to say, I miss the days that artists were fighting to get on. Right. I miss the days of people saying, no, hip hop is not a fad. It's not going to go anywhere. Right. You know, I miss those days.
Right.
You know, I think
now they're talking about it's over.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, you know, now you can turn on a commercial, and there's that balance, man. Because like you mentioned earlier, people are trying to get out of their situation, and I understand that. Right. But you know, now when you can turn on a Chevrolet commercial,
right?
You know what I'm saying? That so changes, I think, what this genre of music really was about, which was so much of it was about community. It wasn't about just let me get what I can get. It was about it was a part of in my opinion, it was a part of the tradition that's been a part of our culture for thousands of years, which is the oral tradition, which is storytelling, which is passing along our history. And it's not about that anymore. Now it's just about the present and what can I get from me right now. Mm-hmm. And then that doesn't last because there's nothing to sustain that. So so again, when I hear an artist like yourself and many other artists like you, who are willing to not just express what you're expressing here in this environment, but even when you're putting yourself out there for the masses to hear, to say, no, these are things. This is what we need to be talking about. I think that's in an era where everybody is so worried about their, you know, people going to like me, or people going to buy my music. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That you and artists like you are willing to say, no, this is the real. This is what we all need to be doing.
It's easy for me because, like, I don't really fuck with a lot of people like that in the first place. Yeah. Like, you know, I have a circle of people, but then, like, I also think for myself. Like, I don't have a TV. Like, we're in my apartment right now, by the way. So, like, I don't have a TV in here, and my internet's been off since like July or June or something like that. Yeah. So, like, you know, I get, you know, the social media stuff on my phone and stuff, but, you know, the only time I watch TV is when I'm at my girl house. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then really I'm watching reruns of The Wire. Yeah. So, like, you know, I spend a lot of time, like, you know, having conversations with people and studying and stuff. And, like, these are the things that just come up in everyday conversation. It's not like I'm trying to push an agenda. This is something that you would talk to me about if you would sit next to me in the barbershop. Gotcha. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we was on the Max ride, or we was on the bus, or we was in a car, or like something like that, it's not always this heavy because I play a lot. So, like, I want to laugh. You know what I'm saying? I have a crazy sense of humor. Yeah. But at the same time, you know, comedians are sometimes some of the most sharpest people that you meet. You know what I'm saying? And I think that, you know, there's a certain way you go about it. I think that, like, having the, you know, because when you have conversations like this, you get the moniker of a conscious artist. Like, I'm just a person. I'm awake. You know, like, so, like, I'm not going to be Professor Griff, you know, showing up in the military, you know, wear and, you know, looking panthered out and nothing like that. Like, I don't think, and I do actually, you know what I'm saying, I admire those guys that got up there and did this stuff. Yeah. But, you know, even then, there were certain ideologies that were there that were self-destructive. Where it's like, I read Huey Newton's book. I think it was Revolutionary Suicide. I don't even think it was that, but it was a biography of him, and I read his autobiography. I'm sorry, it has been some years since I have, but he actually spoke about how going to prison was like a stripe of. That was like earning some stripes when you went to prison. You know, cats would go to prison for like 5 years and they considered that graduate school. Right. You know what I'm saying? It was like going to college and then you went back and you got your, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, You know, that prisons also get, you know, the moniker of gladiator school as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that's self-destructive if you're going to be the vanguard. You know what I'm saying? What can you help if you're locked up?
Right.
What can we do for one another out here? What social programs can we start for ourselves if we're in chains?
Yeah.
You know, we're already 14th Amendment citizens. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So being 14th Amendment citizens, that means that we're conditional citizens under the conditions that certain things take place. So court cases like the Dred Scott decision in St. Louis, you know, no black man has any rights that a white man is bound to respect. As a conditional citizen, you know what I'm saying? We have to understand what that means. And you learn this in social studies.
Yeah.
Brother and sister that's listening to this right now.
Yeah.
You learned, your social studies teacher told you this, but you didn't understand it at the time.
Yeah.
But they tell you this in high school, but then they just keep going, and then you do your chapter review, and then you take your test, you pass that test, and then you go on to the next grade.
Right.
And you're supposed to know that.
Yeah.
But no black man has any rights that a white man is bound to respect. That was back in the 18, I don't know, whatever. But the point is that you don't have the same rights as other people in this country. And that's the reason why they get away with murders.
It's deep.
Because you're a conditional citizen by the 14th Amendment.
That's deep.
It's real, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it was tried in a case. So, like, you need to understand what it is, a case. You know what I'm saying? A case is like a case study. It's an experiment. It's a moment where you put the law on trial, the law of the land on trial, and then you see what the outcome is. Whatever that outcome is sets the precedent for what happens in the future whenever those things happen.
Right. Right.
Knock, knock. Ferguson.
Yeah.
Knock, knock. Trayvon. Knock, knock. Oscar.
Yeah.
And this shit, a lot of this shit is on tape.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, what are we marching for? Or are you protesting to show that this is wrong and, you know, you just don't want to lay down and there's going to be civil unrest? Or are you marching because, you know, we have to organize, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there has to be more, we got to give a fuck about one another more, man. Like, there has to be more compassion.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people who they're going to post all day long and, like, you know, you can even protest. And I mean, that's a valiant effort, but it's like, you're no good to me, dead.
Yeah.
Like, your mind is no good to me. The ink of a scholar is worth more than the blood of a martyr. I'm sorry.
Wow. Yeah. No doubt.
Lupe said that.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't say that.
Yeah.
The ink of a scholar is worth more than the blood of a martyr. They burn a lot of books, man. And, like, there's a lot of things that are missing out of your history that you don't understand who you are. Hebrew and more and, you know, whatever else.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Native American lady and gentleman.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, there's a lot more to who we are, and there's a lot more to this current paradigm that we're living in, and there's a lot of holes in history. And, like, the more you see these holes in the history and the more you put the history in there, you start to see how short amount of time that this oppressive Anglo-Saxon arm is. And, like, how short it's been here. You know what I'm saying? Like, the past 500, 600 years is pales in comparison to the times before that. You know what I'm saying? And the more power you give it, the more it has over you. You know?
Yeah.
You know, we look at voodoo as a bad thing, but voodoo is what kept those people from being enslaved because they held on to their belief system and they held on to their ancestry.
Yeah.
And they had the belief that their ancestors were fighting for them. So they dressed up as their ancestors and they dressed up in the, like, you know, the way these tales looked and the way these oral traditions looked. And they scared the shit out of them folks when they came to fight them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they wouldn't let it go.
Yeah.
Granted, they did, you know, absorb some of those Christian values, quote unquote, Christian values that they took in.
Yeah.
But then, you know, there's certain places where we have to look at Christianity in itself, where it's like, okay, what part of this was actually real? What part of this was augmented by Constantine in order to, combine an empire on its deathbed?
Yeah.
How much of Pauline Christianity is it Attis that he's talking about, the resurrected God from Turkey, where he was from?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? How much of that is Attis? How much of that is, the man they called Jesus?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? How much of that is, Mithras?
Yeah.
How much of that is African oral tradition? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And how much of that stuff actually took place in Central and South America, which is why they can't find Jerusalem now. But this brother pointed out Jerusalem in South America. You know what I'm saying? The same places where they say that all these monuments all sit on an equilateral line of 30 degrees that wraps around the world from Easter Island to Easter Island.
Yeah.
And it hits the Dogon, and it hits the pyramids in Giza, and it hits Cusco and Machu Picchu and all these different places, including places in the what the Indians call the city of the gods in the Veda texts, and then places in Thailand where they line up with the solstices as well.
Yeah.
The same way that Stonehenge does.
Yeah.
Stonehenge in itself lining up with the Pleiades.
Yeah.
The Nile River lining up with the Milky Way galaxy, and also the pyramids alongside of that line up with Andromeda, the Andromeda star cluster. So it's like, it's a global civilization that we're looking at that was very enlightened, and it wasn't based in racism. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, we sit up here trying to say, I'm good enough, I'm black, I'm still good enough, I'm good enough. Yeah, you're greater.
Yeah.
And you're greater than this.
Yeah.
You're more than this.
Yeah.
It's time to transcend. It's not time to be equal with.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I'm not trying to be equal with a bigot.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be equal with a system of bigotry.
Yeah.
Because in Portland, there's more white people marching for Ferguson than it is black people.
Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah.
I wasn't there last night.
Yeah. And a part of that, I mean, to be fair, a part of that simply is we live in an area, living here in Portland, we live in an area where we make up, I think it's 1% of it, not just in the state of Oregon. Mm-hmm. No, it's less. I'm sorry, it's less than 1%.
It's less than 1%?
It's less than 1%. So, well,
I think I just wanted to say that just to say that, you know what I'm saying, they there.
Yeah.
They're there.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
like the people who I saw, they actually really did care.
Yeah.
Last night, I wasn't there last night.
Yeah.
But, more than just Ferguson, people are mad. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're fresh off of the recession. And I don't really know if, like, we down here can say that we're off the recession.
Yeah.
But education being cut in every way possible.
Yeah.
More countries are being invaded.
Yeah.
Healthcare is healthcare reform. It helped a lot of people because I work in a dental office. Mm-hmm. So I see people who haven't been to the dentist in years who did not take care of their mouths.
Yeah.
So their health dwindles because of it.
Yeah.
So let me shout this out real quick. As a hip hop artist, if I'm your favorite rapper, please make sure you brush your teeth every morning. You know what I mean? It's one of the basic things in life that, you really don't know how much your teeth mean to you until you get them pulled out.
Yeah.
And how much the whole construct of your face, how much it plays on your teeth. You'll lose about 10 years in your face if your teeth get pulled out. On top of that, periodontal disease causes infections that could fucking kill you if you have to have surgery. Because when you're under anesthesia, those infections go to the place where you had the surgery at. Heart surgeries, all those different things. And it also affects a lot of your internal organs when you have bacteria, building in your mouth for a long period of time. So we need to take our oral health more seriously.
And the fact of the matter is, I mean, the better we take care of ourselves, the better we can take care of those that we care about.
Right.
And I think that goes for our physical health. I think it goes for our mental health, our emotional health, and our social health.
Right.
And so I think, to sort of bring it full circle, I mean, you talk about how much you immerse yourself in feeding your mind and exercising your mind. and then in turn you're able to internalize that and then create opportunities for people to have their minds opened,
right,
via your art,
right.
And I think
it's like
that's
a channel.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it's all a part of that. If we, myself included, if we take more time to nurture self, then we can really impact. And if we all were to do that, then when we would come together,
Man,
you know what I mean?
it would be unreal. You know, like there's a lot of brothers like especially like up north, like we look at them like they're just 5%ers or they're just, you know, gods or, you know, whatever. But it really means something to be able to get that knowledge of self, and then to tap into your ancestors, to tap into the creator, to tap into the mother and the father. You know what I'm saying? Like I tell my friends a lot, like I have different ways that I interpret things and it works for me. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, when I look at the Madonna and the child motif, you know, a lot of people, they see, you know, Horus and Isis, or they see Mary and Jesus, or Miriam and Yahshua, however you interpret that. But I see, you know, us and the universe, because we cannot begin to fathom how old the universe is. And in turn, we can't begin to fathom how young we are even when we pass away. When we die here on this planet, we're still babies. You know, to 1 billion years, a 70-year-old is a blip. Right? So we get our nurture and we get our nutrition from this universe. We don't get it from anywhere else as babies.
Yeah.
So it's almost as if we are being suckled, like we're infants suckling on our mother universe.
Okay.
The Madonna and the child.
Okay.
Only those that become like these children will see the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't even know where that came from. But like, but it's a pretty deep concept if you think about it, because mother, mater, maternal, matrix. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mother nature, meta netter. You know what I'm saying? Like all these things are connected, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like if we look at it from the standpoint of, man, you will never exist physically outside of this universe. So everything you do is connected to this universe. You never let go of that titty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just to be straight up about it.
Yeah.
And you know, we never see God, quote unquote. We never see the Father.
Yeah.
Pater, paternal, which is another word for faith. Something that exists outside. So the physical manifestation of the mother is what we're here.
Right.
And the Father is that active principle that has everything moving. Because he's going out and he's getting it.
Right.
So that's like consonants, consonants.
Yeah.
Like the Hebrew language, it's all consonants.
Yeah.
But then the vowels is what rounds everything out. And that's kind of like the yang to the situation that rounds things out, that nurtures, that makes sure that the corners, you know what I'm saying? Every corner isn't sharp.
Yeah.
It adds color to the situation.
Yeah.
It adds the softness. It adds that feminine quality. And that's something that we're missing. We don't have we got a lot of feminine motherfuckers out there, but like we don't have like feminine. The feminine is so it's been so repressed and oppressed in the sense of the way that women are physically treated and the way that women are put into categories just for living, but then also in the way that the masculine sense is so dominant, especially here in this society, because we live in a place of competition. It's constant competition. That's really the biggest compromising to your art right there is competition.
Yeah.
There's a book y'all need to get. It's called The Science to Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. Wallace Wattles was a guy, he was like one of the first guys that came into the quote unquote new thought. Wallace Wattles inspired Napoleon Hill to write think rich, think rich to get rich. I forget what the name of the book is. It's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Think and Be Rich or something like that. Mm-hmm. But Wallace said that one of the first steps to getting rich is to get rid of the competitive mind, because the competitive mind is not a creative mind. A competitive mind is not a creative mind, because as a competitor, I'm looking at what's there and I'm trying to get more out of what's there already. So to me, that's like DJ Cliff is sitting here with a plate from Thanksgiving, and I want to come over and I want to take food off of his plate, but it's a kitchen full of food. But I want your plate because your food look better than any other food that's out here, period.
Right.
So we sitting over here fighting over this plate.
Right.
Me and you, right? We fighting over it's scraps at this point, but we fight over this plate.
Yeah.
While somebody else is more creative is in that cooking.
That's deep. That's true though.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Like somebody else is in here cooking.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, I ain't got time for that, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
y'all fight over that. It's all over the place. Y'all got food on yourself. Y'all got food all over the house. It's dirty in here now.
Yeah.
And, and there's more people showing up to keep fighting with y'all over this same little plate.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So being so focused on what the next man has, instead of going out and creating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, like when you're competing, you're so focused, dead set on winning.
Yeah.
That you're not actually being creative. You might be creative strategizing. You might be creative doing that.
Yeah.
But it's like you're locked into that concept of what it means to win.
That's deep.
You know what I'm saying? Like
deep,
it's a lot of rap cats that's locked into that concept of what it means to win.
Right.
And really what it means to win right now is to be Jay-Z and Beyonce. You don't know nothing about them folks' lives.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
Or I don't even want to say that. I mean, it's just like, to fit these certain images.
Well, it's because we have let in a lot of ways, I think. I think we let people tell us what success is. We let people tell us what talent. So I don't know. This is something that's been in my craw for a couple years now,
right.
Man. To me, it's the whole American Idol a mindset,
right?
Where you have a group of people who come out and say, I know what's good and I know what's not good, and I'm going to tell you what's good and what's not good. Yeah. And if I say it's good, then that and we've bought into that,
right?
And I'm using the art of music as an example, but I think you can apply that to so many things, and we get so caught up in that. And then we just become parrots repeating that. Well, this person who is supposed to be, this great evaluator of talent says that this is the case. Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's where again, going full circle, talking about some of the artists who came before us, some of the artists who we look at, who were doing things at the time that people just didn't understand. Right. People didn't understand what Thelonious Monk was doing. Nah. They didn't get it.
Nah.
You know what I'm saying? People didn't understand what Charlie Parker was doing. It made no sense to these people. But what they were doing is they were being artists. They were creating art. And I think if you go back historically and look at other artists, visual artists, you look at painters and what they were doing, people didn't get it. They looked at it and they said, that's different and I dig it, but I don't get it. Now everything is so cookie cutter. I've got to fit the mold. I was talking to an artist recently, and he was saying that he works. One of the things that he does in the industry is he has people come to him and they say, we're making a movie and we want a song for this movie. We want this song to sound like this other song that's hot. So can you duplicate that? And if you can duplicate it, we'll give you X dollars to do it. That's where we are now as artists. We have the mindset of I need to duplicate to get what this artist got financially,
right,
materialistically. So now I've taken away the creative component, like you were saying, and I'm going to work harder than the next man to be who's already there, who we're all worshiping essentially, versus just being an artist, like, creating art.
Somebody already has that job.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like back in the day when this is some Southern thing, so all my West Coast people that's listening to this, you ain't gonna really understand what I'm talking about. Maybe put it into your own concept, I guess, of like a hyphy movement, I guess. But like when Paul Wall, Chameleon there, Slim Thug and Big Mo and Razak and Magnificent, all those guys when they was going off out of Houston, you know, that was hot for us. So like a lot of people, they would mimic it like in their music, you know. I've always kind of had this thing where it's like, even when I'm into something, I want to do it the way I do it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll buy a pair of pants and like I won't wear them if I feel like where I'm going, somebody else is gonna have them on. I'm just weird like that. Mm-hmm. So like, you got a lot of people that they would already do that, and like they'll be cold too though. Like I mean, like they do it well. Mm-hmm. Like it's not just like they was like whack and just imitating. Like they was actually cold at it. Mm-hmm. But like I was talking to my partner one day, man. I remember this from back in high school. Like I was like, yeah, man. Like I don't know. Like yeah, my partner, he got to sit down with so and so and such record label, pretty big record label down there. I was like, yeah, I don't know why they didn't sign him, man. He tight, man. He was like, well, shit, you know, like I mean, they rapping about the same thing they're rapping about down there already. Like they already got that.
Right.
They don't need to sign nobody else to sound like that.
Right. Exactly.
And I was like, oh shit, you right.
Yeah.
You right.
Yeah.
You know, I got ostracized a lot for the seriousness of my content, even when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Like people respected it, but at the same time, it wasn't like the same old playful, whatever type stuff.
Right.
You know, so like a lot of my friends was doing. So I've always been kind of. I learned early, and I've learned more so over the past 4 or 5 years that I just need to say what I feel and stand behind it. Mm-hmm. Because what I do have to say, it is valuable. Mm-hmm. And what I have to say, it is something that that people want to hear and that people need to hear, mm-hmm. because nobody else is doing that.
Well, here's the deal, bro. There are folk out there who are looking for that content. You know what I mean? And it's not as easy to find mm-hmm. nowadays. That's just where we are right now in Earth's history. And the fact of the matter is I think that when you are true to self and you're consistent, then, you know, and I don't get the sense that you're doing this necessarily for, you know, to get props from anybody, to get the next man's respect. When you are doing it, when it's true to your heart and it's consistent, people will get it. Right. People will find you because people are looking for truth. I believe that. I believe that deep in my heart. As a fan of the art of hip hop, personally, you know, I look for that. Mm-hmm. You know, and I use the word. I constantly use the word conscious rapper because I think we've created a situation where we have to categorize and have these subgenres of the music because it has become commercialized, and that's sort of forced that hand.
Right.
So speaking to that, two things I want to speak on real quick. One is Cracks in the Concrete. And I know we were talking about it. I don't know that I was recording when we were speaking on it. So I want you to let people know what Cracks in the Concrete is, where it came from.
Okay. Well, like Cracks in the Concrete, it came from a song that I did that I never put out. Mm-hmm. And it was a song that was that song was actually describing this kid from a HBO documentary called Thug Life in DC, okay. where it followed this kid named Andre Bruno. He got locked up for shooting a police officer, and he got 70 years. Mm-hmm. And his kid brother came to visit him mm-hmm. in jail, and like he wanted to be a rapper at the time, mm-hmm. so like he was like rapping these lyrics, and like what was coming out of this little 12-year-old boy's mouth was horrific. You know what I'm saying? Like for a 12-year-old to be rhyming that, you know what I'm saying? So like the song was kind of based on like the trajectory that I saw a life like his going in. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then Cracks in the Concrete. It kind of came from that poem that Tupac wrote. You know, the rose that grew out of the concrete. Yeah. The damaged petals and the whole thing. So Cracks in the Concrete are kind of like those cracks in the concrete that gives the rose a chance to grow. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, so when I visualized Cracks in the Concrete for this song, when I gave it the title, because I didn't name it until the day after. I came up with the name like 5 minutes before I posted it. I pictured the way bloodstains look on the ground. It looks like cracks in the concrete. And I battled between calling it "What Would Pac Do?" You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like what rapper would actually say something that's actually jamming and then actually can pull you in lyrically and then tell you something at the same time. It ain't none.
Yeah.
Kendrick.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But he's on Aftermath. He can't say what the fuck he want to say about this. He's like old boy from Seattle Seahawks who just got fined for talking about it. You know what I'm saying? Like he can make I Love Myself, but he can't really say what he want to say.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He has too much corporate interest behind him.
Yeah.
And he ain't trying to go back to Compton.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I accidentally ended up down there at the protest because I didn't want any parts of it for reasons that I think I explained already. But I was going down to the studio downtown, so I stopped at Chipotle, got me some food, and I left up out of there, and I went a block over, and it was all these people walking down the street. So I walked along with them, and you know, I felt like my soul pulled me down there for some reason, because I could have went to Chipotle by the Lloyd Center. And, you know, so I could have stopped in the H&M at the Lloyd Center, but for some reason I just wanted to go downtown.
Yeah.
So I went, and so I went ahead. I walked alongside of them on the sidewalk, and then they went up Washington Street and then came back up around Pioneer Square, going up Broadway. And I saw somebody I knew when it shook their hand, and then next thing you know, I'm in the middle of it now. So I'm walking with them. We walked around, got around to the Justice Center, you know, and the whole time, you know, it's just myself and a couple of comrades who I was with, who I spoke to. We were very somber. You know, it wasn't no yelling and screaming. It wasn't no hands up. It wasn't none of that. Like, we wasn't there for the show. We was there for the sense of unity. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I left out of there, and when I left from there, I was just really fired up, man. You know, like much more so than I thought I would be. It was almost like being in a trance, dream-like state that I was in. And that clip that you hear at the beginning, that's not created. That's real life. That's actually reality. I pulled out my phone and I recorded the police talking to folks, telling them to get out the street, or they was going to use physical force or chemical agents against them. And, you know, I said what I said. It just kind of came out. I went upstairs to the studio, and Dre was working on beats. And he just started. He hit like this dun 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 dun. I was like, oh, okay. So like he did that, and then he started adding the bass line behind it, and you know, somebody else was there, like, yo, what? I was like, yo, I'm finna rap like Pac. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the first thing that came out of my mind. Yo, I'm finna rap like Pac, because like I was already like, I was fired up, so I was up there freestyling, playing a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, just kind of bouncing around. I was really manic at the moment. I was really manic. So like I'm bouncing around. You know what I'm saying? You know, just freestyling, talking about just random shit. You know what I'm saying? And then like I heard that, and he started putting something behind it. Like I was like thinking, like, man, nigga, what would Pac do right now? You know what I'm saying? And like it's funny. Like one of my favorite albums, Don Illuminati. So I listen to it a lot, right? So I was like, I'm finna rap like Pac, and like they just started laughing. And then like I was like, all right, man, loop this beat, put it on there, let's go. You know what I'm saying? And he did, and I hopped in there and did it.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Y'all can check it out on the SoundCloud, and it's also linked on Rasheed's.
And yes, we will. Media. And yes, we will get it mastered. We
That's
know it sound kind of cloudy, but I wanted to put it out as soon as we recorded it. I was like, well, he was in the midst of like doing the rough mix that we have on it right now. I was like, yo, so we gonna put this out tonight. You know, like I wanted to like record it and put it out right then. I didn't care. Like if you listen to the ad libs in there, like you really can't hear them right now. But like in the ad libs, I was saying, yo, man, I fucked up so many times in the last verse. I don't care if I could keep going. just keep going.
Yeah.
And I said it all throughout the song, like, you know what I'm saying? I left those mistakes in there though, because that's like jazz, man. And I said that on the hook, man. It's like jazz.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We leaving all the mistakes in here because you can't duplicate mistakes.
Exactly. And sometimes I think that the truth really comes through, you know, when you don't overproduce something.
Right.
You know, you let it be what it is.
Right.
So that's the most recent piece that you put out. I also wanted to touch on Urban Decay.
Okay.
There's probably nothing that I can add to what you said on that track, and I know that it's a part of a bigger project that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to give you an opportunity to let folk know what's coming.
Well, Urban Decay, man, it was it probably took me the longest to write that song just because I didn't feel like writing it.
Okay.
I tried to write it in my head.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I just had so much going on in my head and the way I felt during that time period. Like I was really having a really bad time emotionally in the period that I wrote this album, because I wrote it in like 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
In total.
Okay.
And with Urban Decay, like it I don't know, man. Like, there's so much that I said in that song that I didn't realize that I said until I recorded it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and I felt that way about a lot of those songs, because like they're like it's like having like it's like a magician with one of those bouquets that he has wrapped in his ball, then he pulls it out and it flops open and all this stuff comes out.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what it was, the recording process.
Yeah.
And it didn't really settle on me until what was going on, until I let people hear it.
Yeah.
Because normally I hold on to my shit for like months and then everybody hears it at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
But like I've been sharing it with people, so that's something new for me.
Yeah.
So to like see the reaction from the people who've heard it,
Right.
it's like it showed me that, okay, I had some kind of psychic, like there was a psychically there was something else that was going on in these songs. With Urban Decay, the first verse, I wrote that before the Mike Brown situation. I wrote all of this stuff in June. First off, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. All of this was written in June, except for Pull Up, which that was written post Mike Brown, and I was actually talking about Mike Brown, and I was talking about a lot of other stuff in there too.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple other songs that I wrote longer, like last year. But with St. Kofa, man, it's more about getting back to the root of where you come from and learning from the past in order to make the future better. Yeah. Which is kind of what that word means in the Akan language out of Ghana. It was easy for me to write this album because I just pretended to be 17 back in Arkansas. Okay. And like I just, whatever came out, I didn't care. Yeah. The song Dope Tape that I put out, like I had to rewrite that a few times just because like I had like certain gang references in there. Yeah. Like it was super reckless at first. Yeah. And like I just wanted to be able to travel to city and perform that song and not have no issues. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Good call on that.
Right.
For sure. Yeah.
But then like with Urban Decay, that first verse, I wanted to talk to like, you know, the brothers that was out there, you know, thinking they living a fast life, living a fantasy. And, you know, wasn't he important? Wasn't he in Jordans? Wasn't them Italian leathers? Wasn't they imported? Right. You know what I'm saying? Was she pregnant with his child? Wasn't he aborted? So like, not only did you get killed, you know what I'm saying, but you made your girl have an abortion, so you ain't even gonna live on through that. Right. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then it's, can we please have a moment of violence? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no peace.
But that's the, you know, I think the thing is that I think the situation that has happened in Ferguson is it's just the latest. It's nothing new.
It's nothing new, and that's why it fits.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. This has been going on, and there's been, you know, there's the ebb and flow of emotion that happens, and that's why I said there's nothing more that I can add to what you said in Urban Decay. You know, I think it's a great example of being honest. again, it comes full circle. Everything that we've been talking about today,
Right.
Being honest and open and true to your heart, and putting that in a format that's easily accessible to the masses, and hopefully encouraging people to
do the same.
Yeah.
Like the second verse was, dealing with corporate and government and military interests, and people just kind of going along with it. You know what I'm saying? The zombies in the living room watching infomercials, every neighborhood a pet zoo. You know what I'm saying? Like you just kind of in your cage at your house watching your TV.
Yeah.
And you get up and leave out of here to go buy something. You know what I'm saying? But then
It's conditioning, man.
yeah, you send your kids off to war.
Yeah.
And wasn't he important? Wasn't he in Jordan? You know what I'm saying? Trying to get financial aid. And tell me when the bombs dropped, was he disappointed? Then we have a moment of silence for that.
Yeah.
Because the first verse, we got a soldier where he died in a war that's unapproved of.
Right.
That's looked down on. He died in a situation where it was set up for you to fail in the first place.
Yeah.
But then the second person, that's a war that's supported.
Yeah.
Like you were supposed to win. You were supposed to go ahead and go to college. That was the promise.
Yeah.
That's what you signed up for.
Right.
But by the same token, you died, and there's not going to be, just as much as there's no investigation and there's no big news story and there's no parade for you when you die over here in the hood. Ain't nothing for you over here neither. You're gonna get shipped back in a big ass plane with a bunch of coffins, just like the rest of them.
Yeah.
And like that's just sad. Like humanity, we don't need wars. We don't need to kill each other. We have more than enough. We have technology that honestly it needs to be de-weaponized, and it needs to be turned into something that can actually help everybody. Like we're building warheads when we should be building life heads. Like we have enough power to power everybody. Everybody can have a house. Everybody can have food. Everybody can have what they need. You know what I'm saying? 2% of the people, the world's population doesn't need to have half of the resources.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To leave everybody else over here, like we said, you know what I'm saying, fighting over this one plate.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what's going on. And in the meantime, they're over here planning on how to either enslave or blow all these folks up.
Right.
And then the last verse was, people getting caught up in social media. Tell me that you love me even though you haven't met me yet, and to pass me on the streets and tweet me later. Am I crazy or amazing? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, there's been times when like I've seen people where like, they'll talk crazy on Facebook, and then you see them in real life and they don't even recognize you in real life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you talk crazy to me just a minute ago on my status or something I think and I feel, and then I see you and it's like, you really mean. What do you mean?
Right.
I'm just saying, man, all the stuff you got to say, you know what I'm saying? Like, you weren't even paying, like, I don't think you understood what I was trying to say.
Right.
What do you mean? Oh, I'm Rasheed.
Right.
It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
It's like this brother said on this documentary me and my girlfriend were watching the other night. It came on Revolt TV. It was about Chicago. And he said, these kids don't have social skills. They have social media. And it's like the media aspect of it, where these people can just be whoever they want to be. You take a sharp picture or take a HD picture and then post a bunch of statuses and make people believe you're somebody that you're not really. And God forbid that somebody writes an article or you get a video out of something, there's something special about you, but you're not mentally mature enough to handle that type of exposure. So then you need to get more attention somehow. And like, that's just kind of turned, it's just like anything, like in the wrong hands, anything can be dangerous.
Yeah.
You know
we've created a society now where people are working to become famous for being famous.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
There was a time where fame wasn't necessarily, I think, something that as many people today aspire for. People would work to become athletes.
Right.
And because they were athletes, they became famous.
Right.
Or they were working to become artists, musicians, whatever. And because of that, they became famous. Right. Now people are trying to become famous for being famous.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And we have a whole generation now of people who are, that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let me have the most likes. Let me have the most follows. Let me have the most whatever. You can actually get like sponsorships
just for being known.
You know
by
what I mean?
People. And it's weird because it makes you, it's LCD, man. Like dope tape on a St. Kofa, man. I made this song on purpose. Like that song is very simple. It's a bass line. It's some hi-hats. And it's a very simple hook. And it's LCD music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, really, I wanted the whole St. Kofa to be LCD music.
Yeah.
But like, what happened is, you know, unconsciously, I still ended up making something innovative.
Right.
But it's like, I was trying to make the whole album just like completely raw. Like,
Yeah.
And, you know, fooling around with Zeb, he make everybody sound like a superstar. Shout
out to Zeb, no doubt, man.
Thug to Miss Prime. You know what I'm saying? So
No
like,
doubt.
that's my partner, man.
All right, man. Look, let folk know where you at, man. We talk about social media, so let people know where to connect with you on social media.
I'm on Instagram at Rasheed Jamal, Facebook /Rasheed Jamal, and then my fan page is facebook.com/Rasheed Jamal 87. SoundCloud, is it SoundCloud? Yeah, SoundCloud /Remember Always with a Z, and Twitter at Remember Always with a Z. And look out for my website. I'm gonna drop St. Kofa either between December 19th and December 23rd.
Okay.
Whichever one is the darkest day.
That's what's up. Rasheed Jamal, brother, like I said, man, this has been a long time coming.
Yeah, man.
Long time coming.
Yeah,
for
man.
real,
I remember I first hit you up like 2 years ago. I was like, yo, man, I want to do an interview, man. Let's get together, man. DJ a show for me. You a DJ, right? And every time you invited me to the station, something happened. It's like, hey, man, I can't even come today. Hey, don't even trip. I already got somebody on standby. Hey, man, J.O., you trying to come to the...
Yeah, man. Look, and this is the first of many, my brother.
Yeah, man.
The first of many, for real, for real.
Yeah, man. This is going to be cool, man, because somebody going to be mad at this interview and come be like, I can't believe that you said it. But you better...
Well, but you know what? Like you said, man, this is a man who speaks from the heart, for real, and you know, and it's truly about love. It's truly about building, and
right.
and it's, you know, it's about bettering ourselves as a people. So,
right.
You know, take it to heart and recognize that, for real. Once again, brother, thank you so much. Thank you so much, man. I truly
thank
appreciate
you for coming through, man. Like,
absolutely.
I got a little sick last night, man, so I had you waiting in the cold. I appreciate you kicking, and I really apologize for that. I want to publicly do that.
Oh, look at you, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Stop it. Rasheed Jamal, man. Once again, be on the look for the new project. We'll see if it drops before the podcast or not. And then stay connected, man. We're gonna let you know where you can see. Like I said, you got to see this man do his thing live if you haven't yet. Once again, be sure to follow all the great conversations on the podcast. DJCliff.com. You can also follow DJ Cliff Presents on iTunes and on SoundCloud. And just share the love, man, and let people know that this man has a lot to say. All right, y'all. God willing, we'll be back to do it again soon. Y'all be blessed. We out.